Knoebels Amusement Resort is a family-owned amusement park located in Ellisburg, Pennsylvania. Knoebels is known for their food, rides, and family experiences, but their roller coasters stand out above all. Today, I will be ranking all of Knoebels roller coasters. Starting off the list is the Ian F. Myler Kiddie Coaster Cosmos Curves. This is Knoebels' smallest roller coaster, and it is not their most tame actually. So this coaster is very interesting because it is actually sort of aggressive for a kiddie coaster. Out of all the Ian F. Myler kiddie coasters I've ridden, this is definitely the most aggressive. It provides some floater airtime on all the airtime hills, and the helix gives some good laterals. And it actually goes around a decent amount of times, so you're able to experience the layout more than once. This ride can get decently long lines though, because the queue is not that long for it, so the line can pour out of the ride queue. So yeah, the lines can get a little long for this, but at least they send you around a couple times, so that makes up for it. Next up on the list is Black Diamond, their dark ride / roller coaster. Now this coaster is very similar to things like Blazing Fury at Dollywood. So this has drops, turns, and sharp bank turns. So it is a full package experience, not in the sense of an aggressive ride or anything, but storytelling is very good, and I love the abandoned mine theme. I think it works really well with the park, and I just overall think that this is kind of Cosmos Curves, just a little extended and a little less aggressive. The reason I ranked it above Cosmos Curves is because of the storytelling, and I love myself a good dark ride / coaster, so that is why it is at the number 5 spot. Next up, we have probably one of the shortest coasters in the park, and this is Flying Turns. This is the world's only wooden bobsleigh coaster, and it is probably also the world's best bobsled coaster. Of all the bobsleds I've ridden, this is by far the best smoothness and just rapid transitions. I feel like the other bobsleds try to be thrilling, but they just don't turn. They kind of meander around, like this first half of Flying Turns here. But once Flying Turns gets to the main section of the ride, it really starts to pump up the gas and just accelerate through, and it switches all over the place, and it is a great ride. It is a great family ride. One thing I'm pretty surprised about is how they took a very long time to build this. There were a lot of issues in construction, and I think it was worth the wait. This is a crazy and very unique ride, and I absolutely love this thing. And coming up next is the park's only major steel roller coaster. This is Impulse, a zero tower roller coaster. This ride it's interesting. I am kind of questioning Knoebels' move to go with this coaster in the first place, especially since Fahrenheit is only an hour away. But this is a pretty cheap coaster, so it's kind of understandable. But this ride is a pretty decent ride, actually. This has a lap bar restraint, which is always a plus. Although it may not be the most comfortable, it still is a lap bar, so yeah. I would say the inversions on this ride are pretty mediocre. The loop and cobra roll are pretty forceless. The drop is pretty good, although it's not as good as if there were more rows on the train, but it's, you know how zero tower coasters are. It's kind of like a Gerstlauer coaster, so there's not really many cars on it. The only good part of this ride, I would say, is this slow heartline roll that takes place towards the end of the ride. And also the helix that comes right after is pretty good too. On screen now should be the inversion. I mean, you go over this thing so slow, it provides some really great hang time. This helix right here is pretty forceful as well. It overall is a pretty good ride, but the inversions are very mediocre. And coming in at the number 2 spot is Twister. I think this is a very underrated wooden coaster because it has some of the greatest laterals on any coaster. I mean, this thing is pretty much all about the laterals, and it works very well. I think it perfectly contrasts with the other coasters at this park. You know, Impulse focuses on the inversion, Phoenix focuses on the airtime, and Flying Turns focuses on the high-speed switchback transitions, and this coaster focuses on laterals. And I mean, looking at this point of view right here, you can see that there's quite a bit of laterals on this ride, and oh man, this is the part that makes the coaster so great. I just feel like wooden coasters, they have a decent amount of laterals, but not much. This coaster just slams you with laterals, and it is the greatest thing ever, so this is why it is at the number 2 spot. And of course, coming in at number 1 is Phoenix, the PTC relocated wooden coaster. I mean, this thing gives some great airtime. A lot of people say it's overrated, and honestly, it probably is, but I got a night ride on this thing in the summer, and that completely changed my view of Phoenix. I mean, this thing gives top-notch airtime. I'm almost standing up in my seat. The buzz bars with no seatbelt is just the greatest thing ever. I mean, it is a flawless coaster, which is why it is the number 1 coaster at Knoebels, and it is my favorite wooden coaster. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.